Okay, let's see. Oh, we are live.
Um, okay, here we are. This chord, this is the beginning of the Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Here, but I selected this piece just to show you how we write the different woodwind instruments in an orchestral score. So here we see that it says flauti. This means flutes in plural in Italian. Every time you see that a word ends with the letter I in Italian, means that it is two clarinets and so on. So the first flute, we write it with stems going up, and the second flute, we write it with stems going down. The same with the oboe. Here we can see how we have to write in the clarinet. The first clarinet with stems going up, and the other one with stems going down. The same with the bassoons. This trombe means trumpet. The timpani, the first violins, the instruments are playing in unison in the first measures. This is the melody. We have she, and E flat. And well, that is played by all the instruments. And see how it is written in the clarinet. If we read the notes, we have different notes because remember the clarinet is a that one that is being played in the violin. You have to write it 1 measure second higher. So when the clarinetist plays, it sounds 1 octave lower, and it sounds interesting.
Can I?
Yes.
Thank you. So B as in the German B, which is B flat.
Yes, it has like it should say in B flat, but yeah, that letter implies a B flat clarinet.
The horns. What does it say?
I mean, in general, the horns we use nowadays are F horns. So they transpose a perfect fifth lower. But these are E flat horns. They transpose a major sixth lower and written. But nowadays we use F horns.
What is the S? E8. I don't understand. Yes. E8. Corny.
What?
Corny in ES. What does it say?
Yeah.
Huh.
Why is it?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sorry, I didn't understand the last.
S. I think.
Yes.
What is the S?
I don't know. I don't know in that kind of notation what the S stands for.
I take your word. Okay. And can I ask one more?
Yes, sure.
So the trumpets are in C?
The trumpets, yeah, they are in C. That is the normal thing we do.
But why here why does it not have key signature?
The trumpets?
Yes.
Can I weigh in 1 second?
Yes.
No, the thing is, Georgios, it's in German. Because the Germans, they name, if you have a C, then you have a Cs, which is C flat, or Cis. Yeah, if you have a, for example, D, Des.
What? Sorry?
Yeah, I mean, if you have D, you have D natural, yeah, and then you have this, which is sharp.
Yes, yes,
This
yes, yes.
is flat.
Okay.
Just
I
saying,
see,
it's
yes.
German people, okay?
What
Nothing
does the
wrong with
C not have?
Germans.
Okay.
The trumpet, what does not have the key signature? Do we do the same for the clarinets? No.
No, but trumpet is in C. Why are you going to put a key signature?
3 flats.
Yeah, no, that is a convention. In the horns, we don't write the key signature, never.
Sorry, one more thing, and then that's it.
Ah.
Just saying, exactly. And also, B flat, you're right, is B, just B. And so HIS is B sharp in German, I'm saying. H is B natural, and B, just B. So C sharp. Des, D, this. S, E,
I've heard that before.
ice.
We mentioned for the key signature is just for the horns and for the brass.
Yes, that convention that we use nowadays.
I keep asking, we don't get in the point. But did the trumpet have a, how do you call them? Those things in that period?
The first years of the 19th century. So I don't know exactly if the year this was composed. I think it was in 1808, this symphony. I don't remember. What did you ask about the trumpet? Yes, probably in those years, the instruments were developing, the brass instruments, and they were starting to, yes, in the trombone, we use at least nowadays, we use the key signature.
Okay.
Anyway, sometimes you when you're reading orchestral music, you will see like normal things that are different than what we use nowadays. But you can, if you think what this means, for example, the clarinet, and you see the lines of the violin, then you realize that this is written 1 major second higher. So there, maybe you don't know the Sherman notation, but just by
the key signature as well. Yes, for the clarinet.
Yes, they are there, but you have to keep in mind that here we have 1 flat.
Yes, cool. Okay, thank you.
No, you're welcome. These are the chords for winds in pairs. So, for example, if we have 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 bassoons, 2 clarinets, when they are in pairs. It says chords for wind in pairs may be voiced in 4 different ways. The first one is superimposing, the next one interlocking, the next one enclosing, and overlapping. Now we will see one example of each of these voicings. The first one is superimposing. It says, it's the most frequently used voicing. Make sure the melody is in a good register for the chosen instrument. Well, superimposing is like when we are learning harmony and the teacher teaches us that if we want to build a major triad, we have to superimpose thirds. What does that mean? That we have to take one element and put another element above it. So we have one element over the other. And is what we see here. Oh, I'm sorry. Here. We have a C major chord, and at the bottom of the chord, we have 2 bassoons playing the same note, a middle C. Then we have the clarinets playing, the clarinets are above the bassoon, and they are playing E and G. Then above the clarinets, we have the oboes playing C and E. and at the top of the chord we have the flutes. So see that here they are superimposed, is playing one different pitch. So this is the most common voicing that we use. And always the flutes are at the top, then below the flutes we have the oboes, below the oboes we have the clarinets, and below the clarinets we have the bassoon. Interlocking mixes the wind colors. Yes, we are mixing the colors, but you have to be careful because we have it here. You have to avoid imbalance between different voices. This one, for example, the example we have here, works fine. It's good because the flutes are in a good level register, and we have a balance between the two instruments. But if you do that with different instruments and in different registers, you can have problems with the balance of the instruments. For example, it's problematic to use the oboes in the lower register, because remember that the oboes in the lower fifth sound, the oboes will overshadow the flutes, and there you will not have the balance you are looking for. So when we interlock, see that we have at the bottom one clarinet, the second clarinet, then above it we have the second flute, then we have the first clarinet, and then the first flute. Now the next one is enclosing. Well, it says, well, here the problem is again about related to the balance. This example that we have here is a good example of how to enclose. We have the oboes playing the C, the C5. No, sorry, this one, C5 and C6, and the clarinets in the middle playing those two notes. So the oboes are playing this. They are in a good register, everything in general, and then the clarinets are in the middle. And finally, overlapping. It says, this technique obscures the timbral characteristics of both sets of instruments and often results in straightening a pitch that doesn't need that kind of emphasis. Well, let's see the example. Here we have an overlapped chord. See that the clarinets are playing this, but the E5 is being played at the same time, but the oboe on the third of the chord. Maybe that is not the best option. That's why we usually don't use this kind of voicing, because we are doubling the third. And well, then we have the oboe and the flutes playing the note G. They are in that register. They can be balanced, okay. And at the top we have the flute. The important thing to notice here about the overlapping is that the different instruments are doubling the notes. As it says here, this practice is common in orchestral tutti, because in an orchestral tutti we find loud dynamics, and there we are looking for an effect of something, of the whole orchestra playing with a forte dynamic. And we don't care very much if we are doubling the third or the fifth, or two instruments are playing the same note, because the effect we are looking for is an orchestral forte. But in the practical assignment, in the orchestration you have to do, you probably will not use overlapping, because there you won't have orchestral duty, because you're only going to orchestrate for woodwinds. And well, now this is another topic. The title is Chords in which each note has a different timbre. Well, it says, in most cases, it is best to avoid using this type of chords because they are heterogeneous. Then it will be heterogeneous. And when we orchestrate, generally, we are in which each note has a different timbre, are difficult to balance and often out of tune. So it is a little, well, finally we have, they were, here we have some examples. The first one says not good, because the bassoon is at the bottom of the chord, but is playing in a very high register. This note, the E4, is a high note for the bassoon, so that is not balanced. Then the clarinet, here we are not caring about the transposition. The clarinet is I mean, the note that is sounding on the clarinet is a C sharp. So the clarinet is playing a C sharp. The oboe is playing that B, and the flute the E, the top E. Well, the problem there is that the bassoon is playing a high note and the other instruments are in a low register. Well, actually, the clarinet is in a good register, the oboe too, but the flute is in a kind of weak register if we compare it to the oboe. The oboe will probably sound the top E. Well, then we have this other chord. This is a good option because see that the voicing is different. This one is a closed structure and this one is an open structure. So there is more space between the notes. Here the bassoon is in a better register, a little bit lower, and also all the other instruments, the clarinet, the oboe, and the flute, are in between the instruments. And this one is also a good voicing. The bassoon is playing the. Say that in these two examples that are correct, the flute is playing in a high register, and here is playing in a kind of weak register. That's why these two examples work, because we can hear the flute at the top, and it is not overshadowed by the oboe. And well, now let's see the practical assignments. You have to orchestrate the Schumann piece that is titled Soldatenmarsch, that means March of the Soldier, for the Woodwind section. You have to use winds by 3. that means that you have to use 3 of each instrument. For example, you can use 3 clarinets, 3 oboes, 3 bassoons, and so on. But for this assignment, you have to use 2 standard woodwinds, for example, 2 clarinets and 1 auxiliary and the bass clarinet, or 2 oboes and the English horn, or 2 flutes and the alto flute. So 2 standard woodwinds plus 1 auxiliary. And well, the UK time. Well, that's it.
I don't exactly wins by 3. So 4 wins, it's 4 families, 3 of each. Or just 3 instruments.
No. Wins by 3 means that you can use 3 clarinets plus 3 oboes plus 3 flutes plus 3 bassoons.
Okay.
But maybe you don't have to use all of them.
But how many instruments?
Sorry?
For how many instruments?
Could you repeat it? I can't hear it.
How many instruments do we compose?
How many?
Yes.
Well, that will depend on the piece that we are going to analyze now in a few minutes.
Okay. But okay, I'll ask questions then.
Yes. Now, when we see the piece, it will become clearer. Don't worry. So now, in a couple of minutes, we can see an orchestration I did as an example, album for the young, with short pieces that Tchaikovsky composed. Just give me a second. It sounds. Well, as you can see, it is a short piece, a beautiful piece. Let's analyze it just a little bit so we can see the orchestration. At the beginning, we have one musical idea that lasts 4 measures. It goes. See that here we have a crescendo, a hairpin. So I chose the oboes there because in that register, the second oboe that is playing the lower voice of the right hand, the oboe can play naturally that crescendo. It occurs naturally because as you go down in the register, it gets lower. It gets louder. So I orchestrated the first 4 measures with 1 timbre, and the next 4 measures, I mean measures 5, 6, 7, and 8, with another timbre. Then we have the same idea here. And then a big crescendo. That is the louder moment of the piece. And well, then it continues with a diminuendo. And finally, we reach here that we have, well, there is a cadence. And there we have a tonic pedal point. So in the bass, we always have a pedal point, a tonic pedal point until the piece ends. That goes. So there will be an instrument playing that part. Then we have the melody in the right hand. See that there we have the melody at the top. And then exactly the same, but one octave lower. And in that measures, we also have a counter melody in the tenor that goes. And again, it repeats. And well, finally, a couple more measures until we reach to the tonic chord. Now let's get the orchestration. So here we can see I used the piccolo, one piccolo, two flutes. Remember that we write two instruments in the same staff, as you see here. I wrote the upper flute with stems going up and the second flute with stems going down. Pay attention to the articulations, the dynamics. Everything has to be written as it is here. See that everything is indicated. The conductor doesn't have to guess anything. You have to write what you want. Then we have two oboes, one English horn, two clarinets in B flat, one bass clarinet, two bassoons, and one contrabassoon. So the first idea, I orchestrated it with two bassoons and two oboes. That works great, works good, because the bassoon and the oboe have similar timbres. Because remember that the bassoons and the oboes are double reed instruments, and they have that nasal quality that so it is like the most homogeneous option we have. So the first four measures are with bassoon and oboe, and I added the clarinets just to orchestrate the dynamics. So there we have a crescendo, and I wanted to orchestrate that crescendo, so I added the clarinets. The clarinets there are playing the same as the oboe. So you have to think of the transposition, see that the clarinets have a different key signature than the rest of the instruments, and the English horn also, because it is a transposing instrument.
No crescendo in the flutes?
Oh yes, you're right. Yes, I forgot that that crescendo mark. Good detail. Yes, you're right.
Okay, thank you.
I should have written like a crescendo, a hairpin, like I did with the clarinet.
I wasn't sure if it was intentional. Maybe it would be too loud. I don't know.
No, was a mistake. Yes, sometimes these kind of things happens because when we orchestrate, we are thinking a lot of things simultaneously. So we have always to double check if everything is all right. Well, now in the next measures, I wanted a change of timbre to contrast a little bit. So the next idea, I wrote it with the clarinets. We can see them here, the clarinets and the bassoon, to create a little bit of timbral contrast. But see that I have 4 different voices, but I am using only 2 different instruments, clarinet and bassoon. So the first clarinet, second clarinet, and first bassoon and second bassoon. Well, then what else? Here we reach the cadence. And now we continue again with the same idea. So I repeated the timbre, the oboes and the bassoons. And then I orchestrated the big crescendo. And there I used all the instruments except the English horn, but I used all the different instruments. Anyway, you in the piece that I will give you, you don't have this kind of dynamic, so you won't have to orchestrate the crescendos because there are no crescendos in the piece that I will give you. Well, that's it. I just wanted to show you some general features of how to orchestrate and what you can do with different timbres. Let me see if we can mention something else. I will hear this passage in the flutes. I wrote that passage with the flutes. And then it was the same musical idea, 1 octave lower. And I cannot do it with the flutes again because I don't have the flutes, the register of the flute doesn't allow me to do that 1 octave lower. So there I use the clarinets doing the same.
Can I?
Yes.
So I see you did on the bassoons what I thought would you do with the different, every 2 bars, you change which bassoon says the G, 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 G. Then I don't understand the contra bassoon. Would it not cancel, or a couple of things, would it not cancel the staccato of the, if they play the same G, but the contra bassoon holds the G, will it not, I don't know, sound like no staccato?
Yes, I understand the question. Something similar to what you did in the first practical assignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, but here is a different case because here I am transcribing, I am orchestrating the piano part. And so in the piano, that part goes with pedal.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm pressing the pedal and playing those notes.
Yes.
So it's exactly the same effect that we hear when we hear the piano, that it is a note being attacked several times, but at the same time it's being held like a sustained note.
And is the overlapping note necessary on the bassoons? When the first bassoon enters, the first note matches with the second bassoon, and then when the second bassoon re-enters, one note matches.
Yes, well, that is. Do you remember that we talked about dovetailing the part?
Yes.
We do that. We dovetail the part to create smoothness between the parts. So one reaches one note and the other one starts with one note. So it is like a smooth transition. Because let's suppose that the second bassoon that is starting with the staccato note, the last one plays it a little bit shorter or something. The transition between the second bassoon and the first one would sound like not
Awkward.
Not smooth. Yes, awkward. So if you add one more note and you dovetail the part, you are making sure that it will work, because both will. It will be a good transition.
So can I see you had what is called the cor anglais? Something what when you play? Yes. So I don't remember the piano part, but
yes, that was the counter melody that we have in the piano part in the left hand.
Does not appear again on the second time. It's there. It says again the cor anglais, though we didn't change it to.
Yes, I selected the same instrument the two times.
Okay.
Because it's a counter melody and it's something that you have to listen to it. So it is an important material, and the English horn have a particular timbre that can play that in a good register, and you will hear it, and it will not like. So you can hear the flutes in the foreground, and in the middle you will hear the English horn, and the bassoon with the contrabassoon are the background.
Yes, I didn't see when you used the piccolo, but when you used it, did you double a melody, or was it original? Was it?
I use it here to orchestrate the forte.
Yes, I see.
Just there. Sometimes we do that if we want to orchestrate a passage. We add all the instruments, and we have all the auxiliary instruments playing, and in the rest of the piece we don't use them. In this piece, it was not necessary to use the piccolo, so I only needed to use it there.
I see. I understand. Practically, do we do these things, or do we feel bad asking for a piccolo player to play just two bars?
The performers will be happier if you write more notes in their parts, but you also have to follow your musical intentions. So you will not just write a lot of notes if the music doesn't need it.
See.
So you have to look for a balance between to make interesting parts for the players and to write only the things that the music asks.
Okay.
Yes, in this particular piece, there was no need to use more times the piccolo, but yes, it is a boring part to play.
I see. If it's just one time, could you not omit the piccolo?
So you say to orchestrate this piece without using the piccolo?
If you use it just one time.
Yes, that would be possible. That part, the crescendo, would be a little bit less powerful, because there you are adding one more octave. Because you are like the compass of your composition is one octave bigger, let's say, the range of your composition. But yes, you can delete the piccolo and it works also.
Could we cheat and ask for the second flutist to play the piccolo for 2 bars?
Well, that is not so common. In general, you mean to the second player to leave the flute and take the piccolo?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it would be also possible to do that. But yes, here in this example, that would be possible.
Could I mark it? If I mean, we don't have a crescendo, so maybe I won't need it. But can I do it if I need it in the homework?
Sorry?
In the homework, maybe I won't need it because I don't have a crescendo. But if I need it, would I be able to do that for next week?
Yes, you could.
So but how do I write that?
How do you write it?
Yeah.
Well, you can write that the second player has to change to leave the flute and take the piccolo.
Do I add an extra stuff?
Well, you could
divide that one. I mean,
you could add one more stuff. But well, in general, we usually have an extra piccolo. That's why it is like a strange case. We usually have in the one particular stuff for the piccolo.
I don't want to hire another player. You know, I'm on budget, so maybe I won't. You know, maybe that's the case. But very theoretical. Very theoretical. Very, I know, okay. Very minor questions, okay. Thank you.
Okay. But yes, I'm thinking, yes, usually we have the stuff for the piccolo, but if not, you can find a way to write. Nowadays, writing is a little bit more flexible. And if you want to do something like less normal, you can use words and and you can use words and write the effect you are looking for. You can write, I want the second player to change for the piccolo, or whatever you want, you can write it.
I see, okay. Thank you.
Nowadays, writing has become like very flexible. Well, we have only a couple of minutes left, so let's see the piece that you have to orchestrate. There we go. I will play the piece. Well, that's it. This piece is in G major. At the beginning, in the first measures, we have a homophonic texture because all the voices are with the same rhythm. Well, you can use one one set of, let's say, one timbre in the first 4 measures to do this. So you can do all that with a couple of instruments. For example, I would choose 2 clarinets for the right hand and 2 bassoons in the left hand. Why 2? Because in C, in measure number 4, that we have 2 voices there. So you have to start with 1 bassoon and then add another one. So in the first 4 measures, I would do clarinets in right hand, bassoons in left hand. That is what I would do, but you can do something different and it's okay. It's up to you. Now in measures 5, 6, 7, and 8, I would change the timbre. I would use, for example, oboes in the right hand and bassoons in the left hand. Or you can use the English horn there also if you want something even more homogeneous, because the English horn and the oboes sound very similar. They are the same family, so they are homogeneous. Remember, don't use a different timbre for each note. So if you have a chord that has 4 voices, don't use 4 different timbres. We always look for homogeneity. Well, so we have one idea that is 8 measures long. And the next measures, the next 8 measures are an exact repetition. So there is no change there. There you can copy and paste. But to give a little bit of contrast, remember to use 1 timbre in the first 4 measures and another timbre in measures 5, 6, 7, and 8. And well, then you can copy and paste. See that the dynamic is always forte. So there are no hairpins, there are no changes of dynamic. Now we have the B section here. These are contrasting measures because here we have another texture. It's a monophonic texture. This one. There you have to use the same timbre. For example, 2 clarinets or 1 clarinet and 1 bass clarinet maybe. But a clarinet can play that. It's in the extreme lower register, but he can play it. But I think it would be better to use 1 clarinet and 1 bass clarinet. And now you have a contrast again, because you have a monophonic texture and then a homophonic texture. Well, we are on time. Just give me 2 more minutes and we finish with this. Now you have this material again. So there you have to use clarinets or yes, clarinets again there. And well, you have to see how you orchestrate this contrasting passage. Now, the next 1, 2, 3, 4. The next 4 measures are the recapitulation of the first measures. So there you can do the same as you did in the first measures of the piece. And well, finally, we have again the monophonic texture. So there you can use clarinet. And finally, a perfect authentic cadence. Well,
yes. Word in the second appearance of the tutti.
They are.
Yes.
Yes. Well, there you have the upper voices that are going down by thirds.
The first time, the second time, there's a chord. We can't do that all the clarinet.
Yes. No, because they are different. It's a good question, the one you are doing. Because there is one idea, that is this one. And the other idea is this one. So it goes by thirds.
Yes.
Yes, you have one idea is the monophonic texture, only one melody.
Yes.
And the other one is this homophonic.
I see.
Yes, that is a good question.
Should we? Nothing. Oh, good.
So there you can, for example, it's just an example. Let's suppose that you are using oboes in the right hand for doing this. There you will finish with the oboes here, and at the same time you will have a clarinet doing this. So you can distinguish between the different elements of the composition.
And we have to use one of each every family. All no family. We have to use flutes, we have to use oboes, we have to use clarinets, we have to use bassoons.
If you can use all.
Because I see we can omit the clarinets, the flutes. But I guess we have to use them.
You say because of the register?
Yeah.
Yes, if you want, yes, this piece is in a low register for the flute. I think I wouldn't use it. That is your decision. Maybe the two chords at the end. Maybe you could use there the flutes, but in general it's in a low register, so it would be better not to use the flute. Yes, you're right. Well, that's it. Do you have any other question about this piece?
No.
So remember, the first idea has 8 measures, and we can divide in 4 plus 4. The first 4 measures, we use one timbre, for example, oboes and bassoons, and the next 4 measures, another timbre. And then you copy and paste that. There you have just the 70% of the orchestration.
Very true. Are you going to send the PDF and all the information by WhatsApp, right?
Sorry?
I'm saying that the deadline is always the same, Wednesday at...
Yes, we already talked about that, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All good then. So, next time,
all good.